Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Huskers in Enemy Territory. Today, I was going to talk about the national championship game, Gonzaga versus Baylor. Let's see. From the beginning of the game, it seemed like Gonzaga was being overpowered by Baylor, almost outmatched, or even playing against a superior team. Uh, I hadn't really seen a national championship game like the one that was played today in a long time. It seemed maybe I don't even know if when Duke played Butler. I think it was a few years ago that the game was kind of the way it was today, where it just seemed that Baylor was overpowering Gonzaga just from the beginning. Um, but what really fascinated me when we were watching the game was that Baylor ended up getting up. It was like 11-1 at one point in the first few minutes of the game or whatever. And the only reason Gonzaga finally got that 1 point was from a foul. Um, and I can't remember who it was against, but they ended up scoring that. Um, let's see. Uh, when I first saw the such a quick start from Baylor, I thought to myself, let's see, that that Gonzaga basically was almost emotionally drained from the UCLA game. It just seemed it was so hard fought during the whole game that maybe they almost put it all on the line just to win that game. You know what I'm saying? So uh, you know maybe that was the extent. UCLA was a really good team. Up to Gonzaga's like threshold, but Baylor was just on another level. And and I'm not trying to, you know, take anything away from Gonzaga's year because I was really pulling for Gonzaga, but I wonder if playing in the conference that they play in the West Coast Conference, kind of hinders them in a way. I wonder if Gonzaga was able to play in the Pac-12, that maybe that would actually help them more in these tournament games. And I don't know what the plans are for Gonzaga down the road. You know what I mean? If they're going to stay in the same conference as what they are now. I mean, I know some teams kind of, go to different conferences and whatnot just as a basketball school. Take for example Creighton. Creighton doesn't have a football team, but they play in I think it's the Big East. Don't quote me on it. I'm not exactly a basketball expert. I like football more than anything else, and baseball. But I wonder if, uh, or even maybe, well, that wouldn't work very much. But maybe they could go even in the Mountain West. Maybe go to that before trying to head to the Pac-12 or something. I mean, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but that was kind of my first reaction on that. What else? What else I was thinking too was that Baylor had a superior defense compared to some of these other teams that went up against Gonzaga in the tournament. It just seemed like every Baylor guy was on a Gonzaga guy up tight, and they were just moving along with them the whole game. Just it just seemed like Gonzaga couldn't really get much separation from, um, you know, the Baylor player to kind of move around freely like they normally do in some of the games that they kind of dominated in. But I don't know. I just really feel like the head coach for Baylor had a really good game plan of going against Gonzaga. Um, And the other factor was the fact that Baylor shot the three unbelievably. They just shot it like no other. At one point, they were 10 for 20 on 3 pointers. And, like, you know, Gonzaga would come back a little bit, and then Baylor would hit another three, and you'd just be like, they'd be up by 13 points again. It seemed like the closest the game ever got was like by 9 points. And I don't know, when I left work and we still had the game on, I was just figuring that Baylor was probably going to win the national championship at that point. Um, the second half of the game, kind of trying to touch base on that, was basically kind of the same as the first half. A lot of 3 pointers being thrown up by Baylor, but Baylor was also kind of like trying to milk the clock towards the end of the game. Um, Basically, I felt like Baylor was also just dominating Gonzaga in every aspect of the game. Other than like getting some of these weird fouls. I mean, I saw some that were pretty. Uh, they were uh, called by the refs, pretty good ones, but some of them you kind of question. You know, were they a foul? Were they not a foul? Kind of trying to keep maybe Gonzaga into the game. I don't know. It's just one of those things. The end of the score ended up being 86 to 70. Um, Overall, like the score kind of represents the way the game went, in my opinion. Just a hard fought game by Baylor and Gonzaga just not being able to catch up at at all, really. Like what my one thought too is like I know with like some of the games in the past where like Indiana State played Michigan State with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Another person brought up UNLV versus Duke in 1991 when UNLV went undefeated up to that point and Duke came in and beat them. You had like Christian Leitner, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, and then on UNLV's side you had dang it, what's his name? Uh, Dang it, I can't remember his name, but he was a really good power forward for UNLV. He kind of looked towards like the future in a way, right? And see that Duke had just was stacked of all this NBA talent. So you kind of look at it and you're like, oh wow, this makes kind of a lot of sense that Duke was able to beat the undefeated UNLV. And now, like I was trying to think of like what will it look like, let's say 15 years from now when we're like, oh, Gonzaga was undefeated and Baylor was able to beat them out. You know what I mean? How many NBA prospects or NBA Hall of Famers were on this Baylor team that beat Gonzaga? In the end, it'll just be kind of one of those interesting things, to look back on, and maybe like I can earmark this video, and be like, hey, in 15 years, watch this video and see how the Baylor Bears basketball players are doing in the NBA, because you have to think that some of these guys that are coming out of college now are going to definitely be playing 15 to 20 years. I mean, look at LeBron James. I think he's in his like 19th year or 20th year of playing basketball, something crazy like that. Maybe a little less. I don't know. But these guys just have an amazing amount of time to play in the NBA, especially the way health and fitness and nutrition go for some of these guys. They can really have a long, strung out career, in the NBA. So You know, it was a really entertaining national championship game, in my opinion. And overall, I was pretty happy with the result in a way. Like at least the Baylor Bears won their first national championship. Did I want Gonzaga to win? Yes, I did. But at least it was a team that hadn't won a national championship in basketball. So, that's kind of nice. It's kind of like for the Super Bowl whenever like the Vikings aren't able to go to the Super Bowl, I kind of always pull for a team that hadn't ever won the Super Bowl before. If that's the case, it's not always the case. Like this last year, when Tampa Bay won it, they've won it before. So I was kind of pulling for the Kansas City Chiefs in that case. But I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, but you get what I mean. The Baylor Bears. Congratulations on your national championship, and I'm looking forward to next year's March Madness because I think it'll be a lot better. Being that COVID will hopefully kind of be away or whatever, and we'll be getting back a little bit of the normal day to day operations in terms of having fans at the stadiums and whatnot. So it'll be nice to be able to go and watch some of these kids play. It was unfortunate that they only had cutouts, but that's just the way the world is going on right now. So, you know, again, going on a rant. But I was gonna do a mock draft, but I decided to do a national championship game reaction video. So I'm really happy that I did do this because I kind of wrote out um, my script, and I'm really trying to figure out a good way to like read off of that. I'm not sure where to put it, especially since I'm recording on my phone still. Until I get my new camera, I don't know how to really set that up. Maybe I need to script it more or do little bulletins. So I can like just read off of that instead of doing a full on like whatever you want to call it script. You know what I mean? Because I'm just not practiced with it or whatever yet. But anyway, again, another rant. I'm sorry. Uh, so if you enjoyed this content, give me a like and subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications. Of course, subscribing is free. It only helps out the channel. Don't forget, I'll just plug this. Once I get to the 500 subscriber mark, I will be giving away a free Adrian Peterson drawing to any of the my subscribers. And as always, go Big Red.